Welcome to Sailing Sofia. In our last video, we were on anchor in front of the marina of Villa Simius, waiting for a good weather window to cross the Tyrrhenian Sea. After 2 days, we left the anchorage and made the passage of 264 nautical miles to the volcano island. The wind was quite strong, 18 to 20 knots, and we made 6 to 6.5 knots speed over ground with only the Genoa. We enjoyed the constant wind that gave Sofia good stability, though the sea was quite choppy. At nightfall, the wind increased and the waves also became higher. Max put one reef on the Genoa. The full moon reflected on the rolling sea. Max took the first 3-hour watch and I could sleep. Meanwhile, the wind continued to increase and suddenly changed direction from Beam Ridge to Close Pond. Sofia hills and salty water splashed over the spread into the cockpit. As I came out of my bunk to take watch, Max didn't want to let me do my duty alone, so we stayed both awake. The sea became so rough that I started to throw up. Luckily, that moment didn't last long, but I stayed in the cockpit to ease my stomach. Waves grew higher and gusts blew 30 to 35 knots. Sofia were tossed around like a little cork. The night seemed to last forever, as we were both cold and tired. Morning came slowly, finding us exhausted. We talked to each other to try to find an alternative route, as we didn't think that we could keep going one more day and night. On the map, the only marina nearby was Marina Palermo. It's on the north coast of Sicily, and the marina's entrance was blown up by the gusty wind, and the high waves surely wrecked our boat in a few minutes, so it wasn't a good option. Max studied the map further and found a tiny island just a few miles away from where we were. We changed course to that island called Ustica. But we were disappointed, as there were only a dock for the ferries and it wasn't allowed to anchor. As we were near Ustica, we had internet again and could check the weather update. The wind was going to be a few knots less than the night before, and the waves not so high. This forecast gave us a determination to sail to our first set-up destination. We had our pre-cooked dinner and prepared for the night watch, 3 hours for each. We wore our heavy weather gear and our wool underwear to stay warm. We felt a lot better, and the night went by without incident. At my second watch, the wind was milder and Sofia made 4.5 knots. The moon faded behind us, and the first morning light broke through the clouds. In the dawn, the coastline of the Lipari Island appeared along our port side, and ahead of us the black mountainous seaboard of the volcano island. After 2 stormy days and nights at sea, we were so happy to see land. Max furled the foresail, and we motored past the lighthouse of Gelso. We let our anchor fall on the black sanded seabed in the bay by Spiaggia del Asino. The wind continued to blow, but it has decreased a little bit. Protected by the island, we still got some gusty wind, which once blew our pillows that were put out in the sun to dry, and Max must jump in the cold sea to get them back. As we had a good wind to go further east, we decided not to wait, even though we're still tired from the passage from Sardegna. We checked the tide at the Strait of Messina, where we wanted to reach to get a right timing to pass it. We continued the next day to the Strait of Messina. With 7 knots of speed over ground, we could reach the strait on time and had the current with us. It was quite stressful with the busy traffic of all kinds of boats. We motored in the Marina Reggio Calabria. Max tried to contact the Marina office but couldn't get any answer. We turned around and around 1,000 times, not knowing what to do in 15 knots of wind. Finally, someone saw us and informed the marineros, who helped us to dock. The next day, we went into the city of Reggio Calabria. It's an old city, but has its own charm, which we love at first sight. The first day we walked around the city, enjoying the beautiful architecture as well as the small streets with old houses, shops with vegetables and fruits on the sidewalk. The second day we did the provisioning. With the marineros' help, we could have our laundry picked up, washed, and delivered the day after. The third day we relaxed. Max checked the weather and made the route plan for the next day. This 247 nautical miles passage across the Ionian Sea was a long passage, and the weather didn't look very good. But to wait longer wasn't a good option either. So Max decided to leave. Early morning, we topped up our water and diesel and motored out of the Strait of Messina, direction east to Kefalonia. A few dolphins jumped up behind our boat, like someone waving goodbye. We motored a few hours before the wind came. In the evening we had strong wind and high waves again, this time upwind course. Sophia Hill with 6 to 7 knots of aground, though Max has reefed both sails to the smallest. The night came with a turbulent sea. Max stayed all night awake, always alert to each movement of the boat. I could sleep a little bit. Mostly we did watch together. We were this time better prepared. We had our heavy weather gear and wool underwear to keep us dry and warm. In the very early morning hour, we saw the light from the lighthouse, and the smell of this land amazed us. Once again, our boat inside was just a mess, but we were both so happy. We were finally in Greece. We anchored among other boats in the bay, just in the middle of Agostoli, the main city of the island Kefalonia. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell to follow our journey. Our channel is a tree. Your lights are water that help it grow. Thanks for being with us. See you next week.